like we have seen, COVID transformed everybody's life, and the way we lead our day-to-day existence. And politics has been no different. The lockdown and the economic slowdown because of that, because of the pandemic, has affected our lives, and it has also affected the way politics is done in this country. Right from the way political parties reach out to the people, the way they campaign in elections, the way parliament is held, all this has undergone a sea change in 2020. The opposition initially sensed an opportunity here. They felt that they can corner the Narendra Modi government on this issue and criticize them for not, for the increasing number of deaths. India's figures were like one of the highest in the world. And but then they also realized that they did not have solutions to give to the government. So it was like, they had this fear that if we are very critical, then even the steps that are being taken by the government will be seen as, right, because we are criticizing the government without being able to say that this is what should be done. And of course, there's always been a lack of unity among the opposition parties. We saw a very different campaign during the Bihar elections. BJP led government at the center should actually have been on the back foot, but despite facing an unprecedented situation where they were pushed on the back foot, and it was not something that, like every other government around the world, the Narendra Modi government was also facing a challenge which was unprecedented. So in the Bihar elections, of course, the opposition had a golden opportunity to take on the government, to corner it on the way the reverse migration was handled, the way unemployment had hit the roof. But Modi government did manage to shift the discourse in its favor, and the opposition disarray, of course, has also affected its chances. And so we found that the BJP NDA has actually had an upper hand in this year. In a way, the Ram Temple issue shows that the government was one. Of course, one reading can be that it was trying to change the discourse in its favor, and the Ram Temple issue has always been a political issue. So, but they did go about it on schedule, after the Supreme Court verdict, and the construction of the temple is to begin. So it depends on when it is nearing completion, or the 2022 deadline. You have the UP elections, so it will definitely have an impact in the northern belt. Two big changes. One, of course, is the farm bills, and we are seeing all these agitations happening. The government will have to concede or to accede to some of the demands that these protesters are making. Otherwise, it's difficult to break this deadlock. All experts are of the view that the farm laws should not be done away with. Only some tweaking or some changes or some alterations are required. And that is where the government will have to make certain changes. That is one. The labor laws, of course, that was expected for quite some time, and those changes have been made. Both these measures were, of course, taken keeping the need for changes in the economy, so that you have more investment and foreign players coming in. 2021 is also going to see elections where states where the Congress has had some stakes in the past. West Bengal is one, but West Bengal, it's more like a TMC versus BJP fight. So one does not see Congress or the left being, too much of a player in the elections. Assam, again, Congress versus BJP, where BJP seems to have an upper hand, especially now his pathway. So we'll see regional parties putting up a fight against the BJP. Of course, Tamil Nadu, you'll see AIDMK versus DMK, but BJP is now aligning with the AIDMK. Congress will again have to piggyback on DMK. Kerala elections, again, if you go by the local body election results, left is still going strong. So, and BJP, of course, is a minor player. So there, a lot will depend on how the Congress plays its card and whether it is able to make an impact. It's run up to the 2022 deadline that the Narendra Modi government has set for itself for several projects. The new parliament that is to come up is likely to be completed in 2022. So these things, these steps that the government will take, the state of the economy is something that will matter to quite an extent, because hopefully the vaccine will be there. And so people have hopes that the economy will look up. And that is where people will be watching the steps that the Narendra Modi government takes. There is a shrinking space for the opposition because of various factors. I mean, the government has not really played ball as far as Parliament is concerned. They did not hold the winter session. All these factors will be watched as to how the committees, parliamentary committees function and how Parliament functions. And we'll see a lot of, how technology plays a role, something which we had seen in 2020, whether it's electioneering or whether it is Parliament functioning or even meetings with the state governments.